James Bond is officially back, but before we've even had a chance to straighten our bow ties and get our vodka martinis shaken, not stirred.
Vodka martini.
Shaken and stirred.
Do I look like I give a damn?
A massive debate has broken out across the gaming community. IO Interactive just dropped a treasure trove of new details on 007 First Light, which is only a few weeks away from launch on May 27th. But the number one thing that has everyone talking, 20 hours. Yes, according to the latest developer Q&A, that is the official runtime of the main story. Now, in a world where we are used to 100-hour open world behemoths, that number has unexpectedly become the biggest talking point online. Is it enough, or is this exactly what we need in 2026? Today we are breaking down the brand new PlayStation 5 Pro footage, the controversy surrounding the physical disc release of the game, and why this 20-hour story might actually be the game's greatest strength. Let's get right into it. Firstly, let's talk about how this game actually looks in motion. We just saw some brand new footage from the official social media accounts, and early impressions suggest the upgraded hardware of the PS5 Pro is handling the action in the game very well. Of course, we're going to need to see more gameplay across different parts of the campaign before we can fully judge if this gameplay will leave us shaken and stirred. But the technical performance so far in these videos is obviously looking good, because they're not going to release a video where the game doesn't look good. Now, positive reaction aside here, on the base PS5, you've got the 30 FPS quality mode and a 60 FPS performance mode, while the PS5 Pro is using PSSR to effectively give you the best of both worlds, with all the bells and whistles, the best visuals, and a pretty much locked 60 FPS frame rate. We will of course be checking this out thoroughly and bringing you the best settings video for 007 First Light on PlayStation once we get our hands on the game. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on that. But I want to hear from you. Which platform are you playing this on? The base PS5, the Pro, or maybe the PlayStation Portal for some handheld James Bond gaming sessions? Let me know in the comments. Now we have to talk about the physical game release here also, because you know that's important to me. I always try and buy these games physically, as should you, because this is a bit of a sore spot. The developer Q&A revealed that the discs themselves are incomplete, meaning you'll have to download a chunk of data on day one, so a day one patch, before you can even hit the start screen and jump in and play the game. For those of us who love physical media, you know, for the sake of ownership and preservation, it is frustrating. It makes the disc feel more like a physical license key like you see with these Nintendo Switch games. Does this influence how you buy the game, if you buy it digitally or physically, or even whether you'd buy the game at all when you see things like this? Let me know in the comments. On the plus side, IO Interactive confirm they are fully focused on a single player experience with no plans for co-op or multiplayer, which is kind of refreshing in this day and age, because all you hear about is live service games trying to hit you with every microtransaction under the sun. So I'm happy about this. For me, single player games is where it's at. I do like co-op games as well, I must admit, but I don't know how that would fit into this James Bond single player story they're building here for First Light. So I am happy about that. Plus, the game will fully support DualSense features on PlayStation 5, so we can expect that haptic feedback and those adaptive triggers to feel absolutely awesome when you're shooting stuff, driving, things blowing up. I'm excited to check all of that out. If you're sold on the game so far, check out the links down below in the description for great prices on the physical copies of the game or cheap wallet top-ups for the digital version to save you some money. It supports the channel at zero extra cost to you, so thank you very much if you use them. Right, let's get back to that 20-hour runtime chat. Why is this sparking such a debate? Well, there's a belief that if a game doesn't take you 3 to 6 months to finish, it's not worth the £70. I honestly think that mentality has been hurting the gaming industry a little bit. We've all seen games bloated with filler just to pad the clock out. I don't know about you, but I've got a busy life between work, family and the gym. I don't always want a 100-hour game project that I need to try and block out time to actually work through. It takes me forever, and then quite often I don't get the games finished. A new game comes out and it gets forgotten about and I move on. What IO is doing reminds me of, the Uncharted games. The first one was like 8 hours long. Uncharted 2 and 3 were kind of like 10 to 12-ish. And A Thief's End was, I think it was only about 15 to 18. It was under 20 hours. Those were tight cinematic adventures that just stayed with you forever because they were awesome. Now, Naughty Dog set a high bar here. I'm not saying that IO Interactive will, reach those heights, but that's got to be the goal here. I would have loved, to see 007 First Light hit a similar price point to Pragmata, however, which was a comparable length but only cost about £42 physically here in the UK, and it was, I think, $49.99 digitally. If Bond was at that price, I think it would be flying off the shelves. But even so, I'd still take 20 hours of all killer and no filler over 80 hours of boredom and grind any day of the week. James Bond has had some amazing games over the years. We all remember the classics, and it is such an awesome franchise. So let's hope this is a true new beginning for Bond in the video game world. The Q&A gave us some great insight into this 26-year-old inexperienced Bond. This is a real origin story here. You're going to watch him develop into the refined agent we all know. Well, you can choose your style, stealth or guns blazing. I'll be like Rambo in this game, I just don't do stealth very well. The narrative on the game is focused on the experience of becoming 007, which has got me excited and makes me want to ask, what is your favourite James Bond game of all time? Mine is the absolute classic. I just adore GoldenEye on the N64. What a game. Honestly, I would love a full remake of this game one day, but let me know yours in the comments down below. No matter which version of the game you buy, it's going to look as good as your console allows. IO Interactive is pushing the tech here, especially with those performance targets on the Pro. I really hope it is not, a buggy mess. Looking at you over there, Bethesda. But even on the base PS5 system, your game will look off if your system settings aren't dialed in. There's a few really simple, quick and basic PlayStation 5 settings that can boost your performance and improve your image quality instantly, and most people completely overlook them. To make sure your setup is actually ready to rock and roll when James Bond arrives on May the 27th, you need to check out this video right here where I show you the exact settings you need to change right now.